What up, guys, and welcome to another Cardano NFT market update. It's been a while since I've made one of these updates, but there are a ton of different things going on in the market. So in this video, I'm going to cover my personal outlook as well as some of the biggest movers this past week when it comes to volume. And as you notice, guys, I'm in a completely different setting and I'm trying the best I can to set up my camera, my mic, and all these different things. So I'm sorry if the production quality is a little bit less right now. But yeah, without further ado, let's get into it. All right, guys. So you know the deal already. The first thing that we have to look at is the overall volume happening in the Cardano NFT market. And if you look towards the later half of January, we were sharply declining in volume, with a lot of days only getting between 700,000 and 900,000 ADA worth of transactions. Now, a little bit later in the month, in the beginning of February, is actually when we had Katz release. And this project alone has set records and has already surpassed 3.5 million ADA worth of transactions in the first week alone, which is absolutely nuts. But now that the hype is dying down a little bit from that initial big push, we are seeing the overall volume back into CNFTs going down again. And I'm actually going to make a video pretty soon here about the best and worst times to be in NFTs and do a whole entire breakdown for it. But what's interesting in the meantime, before that video, is the Cardano market, as well as just the overall market as a whole, has been slightly bullish. And a lot of times this can have a negative impact on NFTs in the short term, since a lot of people will try to sell their NFTs in order to get liquidity. And I'm the last person to try to tell you guys when the market is going to be bullish or bearish. I'm really under the belief that it's really hard to predict those things in the short term window. And that's why I'm just a long term investor in crypto. But there is one YouTuber that I really like and I really trust in this space, and that's actually Crypto Lifer. And he made a video sometime this past week actually talking about why he thinks we're in the bottom right now. And a big part of that is the CPI report, which is the inflation reports that are released by the government in the US every single month. They are basically changing how they're actually looking at the data and reporting it. And instead of a 2-year basis, they're actually going to be reporting their inflation numbers compared to just one single calendar year, which is last year when inflation was at the highest. So the whole argument that Crypto Lifer was making, and I actually agree with, is that there's no reason that they would change this unless they kind of wanted to fudge the numbers of the inflation reports. And whether you like it or you hate it, guys, the US really dictates the overall global economy and basically the trajectory that we're going to go as a market. And he's basically claiming that because they're changing how they're doing the accounting and how they're actually releasing these reports, the numbers are going to look better, which is going to enable them to start printing money again. And if they start printing money again or start slowing down or cutting back the increases of interest rates, then essentially we could see the market start to pump again. This is a little bit speculative right now, but it's something to pay attention to, because if crypto starts pumping or at least slowly increasing like it is now, we are going to see a continued sell-off and disinterest in NFTs until we eventually get back into a very bullish sentiment or a sideways market. Once again, guys, I'm going to make a video this week detailing the best and worst times to be NFTs pretty soon here. But in the meantime, let's look at the top biggest movers of the past week when it comes to volume. Number one is at no surprise, and that is Katz at 3.6 million ADA worth of volume. Number two is a new mint, the Royal Chess Club, coming in at 253,000 volume. We then have Ape Society and Claymation at 3 and 4. Earthnode continues to be in the top 10 at number 5. Porky Island coming in at number 6, another new project. Spacebudz at 7, and then 8 is Oremob, 9 is Cardano Crocs Club, and then finishing us off is The Working Dead at number 10 with 150,000 ADA worth of volume. The first project on our list, guys, should come at no surprise, and that is Katz. Alley Cats released on February 1st, and they already have 3.63 million ADA worth of volume. You can say whatever you want about Alley Cats, but that is a ridiculous amount of volume, and I have never seen anything like that since I've been in the Cardano NFT space. They minted for around 222 ADA. They went all the way up to about 500 ADA, and now they're having a pullback down to 400 ADA. And I think one of the reasons why Alley Cats exploded so much wasn't just because they're nice PFP art, but really because they had a lot of cross-chain interest. You had people from Ethereum buy this, you had people from Solana buy this, and I don't know if it's because they saw like cats on crack on Solana or gutter cats on Ethereum, and they're like, oh my god, this is going to be the one on Cardano. Let me get into this. I have no idea, guys, but this has been very impressive volume. I'm lucky to have pulled the trigger and minted a decent amount of these. I did sell a lot of them on the run up, but I'm keeping my eye on the project. Right now, I don't like buying when there's a lot of hype and a lot of speculation, and I want to know just a little bit more about this project before I get back into it as a long-term investment. Supposedly, they're trying to make some sort of, gaming platform or something like that. They have a lot of connections with Epic Games. They seem to be running a pretty tight ship here. So a project worth having your eyes on. A lot of people really like the art, and if they come out with some pretty crazy stuff in this roadmap phase 2, then we could see these do very well. Next project here is the Royal Chess Club, and this is a project that was actually launched by Incognito and a couple other guys that have been in our Block Investment Group Discord. So I was talking to them a little bit about this whole entire project. Now, these guys actually surprised me with just how well they've been doing on the secondary market. They're at 160 ADA right now. I think they went all the way up to 200 ADA, and they're at 1.1 million ADA worth of volume. Now, the whole thing with Royal Chess Club, guys, if you aren't aware, is they're basically trying to create a play to earn chess game on Cardano. Now, it is going to take a while for this to build, I think somewhere around the 6-month range, but it's pretty interesting as an overall project. The one thing that I will say is that it is kind of a niche market like chess on Cardano NFTs, but I like to see these different projects build and actually come out with some sort of product, and they have done a good job so far overall. So a project to keep your eyes on. Just realize that this chess board mint still has to come, and that's going to take a while for the actual game to come out. So there might be times where it's like in a boring phase and a better buying opportunity than now, but definitely a project worth keeping your eyes on. Now, the next project here is the Ape Society, and the Ape Society is like always on this list, guys. The big thing that happened recently is they have their marketplace now where people can buy and sell the different furniture that their craftsmen have been making. Now, they already have had in one day, their first day, about 70,000 ADA worth of transactions on that marketplace that they built, which is a crazy amount. I mean, that would be a top 10 Cardano NFT project right now in terms of volume on the weekly scale. And they did that selling their furniture within this one project's ecosystem. So, pretty cool stuff and something to keep your eye on. Next project here, Clay Nation. Now, Clay Nation, since starting this video, actually has gone on a little bit of a run up. Like most projects in the space, a lot of things really took a hit when Alley Cats came out and sucked up a lot of liquidity, as well as a lot of people trying to sell their NFTs to once again cash out on their ADA, especially if ADA keeps going up like 50 cents. I can expect a lot of people to really be selling these blue chips in order to just cash out some of their ADA that they've been holding. Now, Clay Nation had gone down to that 3,600 number, but has now bounced back up to around 4,000. The Clay Nation team have released their marketplace, which is what I've been waiting for their Clay token, but this is just a very basic thing, and it doesn't allow you to buy all of the different things that I believe is the genuine catalyst. What's cool about Clay Nation right now is it seems like they've built up the foundation in the infrastructure with their marketplace to easily be able to add their pants for their clays in the future, to be able to add different products to their pitches, etc., etc. So for me, it doesn't really make sense selling any of the clay stuff until that comes out and there's actually a catalyst to own the clays and to actually own their clay token. So definitely a project to keep your eyes on. I think that the Clay team does a really good job at building long term, about making sustainable decision makings. And I do think it's a safe play overall, especially with all of that catalyst that has yet to be released. Next thing here, EarthNode. Now, EarthNode, I talked about them a little bit in the last Cardano NFT market update. It's pretty much the ownership of one of these 1,000 nodes with World Mobile token. Pretty cool stuff overall. I would definitely look into it. As far as investing in this, I personally am staying out of the way. 80,000 ADA is a lot of ADA. I mean, a lot of these were even selling between 100 and 120,000. And I don't feel like these guys have really found their floor as of yet. What's also interesting is there's always like 9 to 10 listings. I don't know why it's always within this range. But yeah, for me, I'm kind of staying away from now. I see the opportunity in investing into something like this, but I feel like it's just a little bit too early on for me, especially with that amount of ADA. Next project here, the Porky Island. Now, when I first saw this project, I was like, "Oh my god, this is so stupid. This is so dumb." I mean, they haven't said anything on their website, nothing in their Twitter, nothing in their Discord. You have no idea what's actually going on with this project. But I've kind of changed my tune just slightly because I realized when I first got into NFTs, it was about having fun in these memeable things in the culture, and I feel like that has sort of been lost in this bear market, where now we're all demanding crazy utilities and crazy roadmaps and blah 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 blah. And what I will say about this project, it was kind of refreshing just to have a stupid project, just to have a memeable project that doesn't have any high expectations, that isn't promising anything big, but made some nice marketing graphics on Twitter and a lot of different memes and is just building a culture. Like, I think that there's something to say about that. Now, there has been a lot of drama about the project. One of the things that happened is that they were supposed to mint out like 3,333, but JPG kind of crashed during this time, and they weren't able to mint everything out. So keep an eye on them. They are finishing their mint on the 11th of February. It's only 33 ADA, and that floor right now is 3 times that. And they have gotten about 200,000 ADA worth of transactions. So it is a mint worth going for. There's also some other people saying there's some, crazy stuff going on with the art and all this stuff. I don't really want to speculate about these different things. I've heard the founder talk about some of them before. Seems okay overall. Regardless, though, I'm not invested in this project long term. I think this is one of those things you buy and you maybe quick flip, make a little bit of money, or maybe you own one or two to support the project and the meme. I don't really see them personally right now doing anything too crazy other than that. Next thing here, Spacebudz. Spacebudz, pretty much the same thing that Spacebudz is always doing. They're doing a lot of voting and proposals still when it comes to the actual art of their new V2 Spacebudz. I'm sure they're going to announce something crazy when that happens, and these are going to go on a pop off when that does finally happen. But right now, they've been in their boring phase for a while. Next thing here, Oremob. Now, Oremob had actually gone on a crazy FOMO hype run all the way to 2000 ADA, and then they went all the way back down to about 800 to even 750 ADA, and now they're on the run back up to 1000 ADA. I think a lot of people saw Alley Cats and they were like, oh, this is kind of similar to Oremob. It's like a 10K collection, high mint price. The art looks really good. And I think there might have been a sell off with some of these in order to get into Alley Cats. As far as different news about Oremob, they do have their encasings coming sometime this quarter where you're going to be able to encase your Oremob, very similar to their different collector's items. And they're also just building out their fashion IP anime brand. They're doing some different stuff in Japan, and I think that's going to be a main focus of the project. Once again, guys, and maybe I need to make a video on this again, but when things are super hype and when things are super crazy, and these were going to 2000 ADA, and this is all you could see on Twitter, and it was absolutely nuts. That is the worst time to buy a project. There's probably a lot of people that got burned when this ran up to 2000 and everyone was freaking out thinking it was going to keep running. When I see that sort of stuff happening, I'm getting out, I'm selling, and then I wait for moments like these once a lot of people sold to then rebuy, because now I know how much money I can lose. I know my downside better, whereas I have no idea how high up we were going to go. 2K ended up being the peak and coming down. It could have ran to 3K. It could have ran to 4K. Who knows? And that's the big thing. You don't know. And that's why I personally like selling during those high, crazy, volatile times and then buy when people start to forget about the project and it kind of goes on the back burner. Have I rebought into Oremob right now? No. Do I think right now is a good opportunity? Potentially. But right now I'm just a little hands off. Before getting into the second half of these projects, I did want to give you guys my personal strategy in this market right now. As I was saying earlier in the video, I am a little bit worried that we're actually going to be a little more bullish in the market right now. And a lot of times when that happens, people do sell their different NFTs, different blue chips, et cetera, until we start going sideways again or until we get super, super bullish if that does end up playing out. So if that happens, guys, it's actually going to be an opportunity to then get into some of the expensive blue chips, which have hopefully taken a price dip. And we've already started to see this a little bit with Clay Nation, with Spacebudz, with some of the other top projects out there, even Jellycubes, where you can now start to get into some of these projects that were super expensive at a better price. So right now, I'm a little bit hands off. I'm only minting things that I think are going to do very well. And most of these I am going to quick flip in order to get that liquidity. There's a couple plays coming up like Goombo, Stag Alliance, Her Monster that I might be keen to be holding a lot more longer term simply because I think those projects will do well. But for the most part, I'm minting stuff. I'm quick flipping it if I think that there's going to be some profit there. And then I'm holding that ADA liquidity. And then I'm either going to start slowly cashing out that ADA on a run up, or I'm going to be looking for good buying opportunities when it comes to different blue chip NFTs. But right now, I really believe, guys, that you have to be careful when it comes to buying and investing into a lot of NFTs right now. Until we figure out which way the overall market is going, I think right now is the time that you can be burned. And let's say crypto starts going on a run, but a lot of your NFTs start going down in the same time, and you would have been better off having that liquidity. So just keep that in mind. Getting back to the projects, we now have Cardano Crocs Club. Now, Cardano Crocs Club had gone on an insane run all the way up to 2,000 ADA, and now they're back down to the 600 to 700 ADA range. Once again, another project that has really been hit over the past 1 to 2 weeks. Now, there isn't too much new stuff going on with Cardano Crocs Club besides their Crocs Entertainment, which is this whole entire umbrella of projects that they're trying to have in their ecosystem, such as Happy Tigers and Nifties, as well as their radioactive Crocs, Poker Pass, that sort of stuff. But they also came out with this partnership with like Codeware, which does digital marketing, web development, stuff like that. And you can actually use your C4 tokens as a payment for these different services. So pretty cool stuff on that side of things. I have my eyes on this project at this price simply because they are doing a lot of different stuff in the ecosystem. I talked to Asung a decent amount and see him on Spaces a lot. So I have my eyes on it, but I haven't bought any additional right now. Next thing here, and was number 10 on our list, was actually The Working Dead. And this was also a project that is more so new. They had released a month or two ago a portion of their supply, and they just finished minting out to a couple of days ago. They had done a split mint type deal. Now, The Working Dead are essentially trying to create a whole entire learning platform where different people can post content and different videos about the blockchain, crypto, NFTs, that sort of thing, and then be compensated in these Working Dead tokens. And then if you own these Working Dead, you're basically going to be able to get those tokens from staking, and you're going to be able to watch this different content, learn, have different quests or objectives, that sort of thing. I don't know how bullish I am on that concept right now, simply because you have Newcast from the Lovelace Mass Club trying to do the same thing, as well as Blake CNFT trying to do the same thing from Spark Labs. So I'll be very interested in how they actually manage this token inflation to make it valuable, as well as encourage different content creators to basically make exclusive content for them. So I don't know. We'll see how they do. I like the idea as far as like helping out the space and educating people. I just think it's something very, very difficult to tackle. Next thing here, Chilled Kongs. The reason I wanted to bring up Chilled Kongs is because they've been in their boring phase for a while. They actually dipped all the way down to 1,000 ADA, and now they're back up to this 1,500 ADA range. What's interesting with Chilled Kongs is that their Magic Kongs and these shrooms are finally going to be coming out sometime this quarter, unless it gets delayed again. For the fourth time. But if it doesn't get delayed again, then there could be a swing trade opportunity here with people FOMOing last minute in order to get these cogs, in order to get the shrooms. But a lot of these shrooms are actually going to the public. And as it stands right now, the public is actually going to be able to get these shrooms before the actual Chilled Kong holders. So I haven't personally bought any right now. We could see a little bit of a swing because they've been in this boring phase for a while, back up to 2K or maybe even up towards 2,500 right before this happens. And then you'd probably see a decrease in these these actual chilled Kongs. And as far as a long-term thing too, adding another collection that is art-based, such as their Magic Kongs, has historically been bad for the main collection due to the dilution of their assets and people buying all of these different Magic Kongs rather than investing that money into chilled Kongs. So something to pay attention to as well. It's one thing when you come out with different NFTs that have totally different purposes, such as, okay, we're launching Jellycubes, it's BIG membership only, and then in the future, let's say we launch something, but it has nothing to do with the BIG, it doesn't give you access. That is a situation that is a little bit different, but a lot of times, and you can look at Ethereum, guys, and these different chains, a lot of times it actually hurts the actual overall investment of the project. So something to consider if you're looking into buying chilled Kongs for the long term. Next thing here, Chains of War Genesis mounts. Now, Chains of War is a project that is releasing their alpha gameplay that looks really, really great, guys, sometime this year. And they actually just released these mounts this past week. Now, I don't know if these mounts are a good buy right now or if Chains of War is a good buy at this second, but I would pay attention to this project because their actual game that they're building in Unreal Engine 5 is looking really, really great. And if that comes out this year, I think a lot of people that have been sleeping on this project or don't know about this project are really going to start paying attention. So yeah, something to pay attention to. I think the mint price was around 225 ADA for the whitelist and about 250 ADA for the public. So it is going under mint price right now, but I think as far as a long-term play, it isn't too bad. Now, next thing here, Micefia. I wanted to include Micefia because I actually wanted to make this market update video like 2 weeks ago when these guys first released. And what was really interesting about Micefia is that there was a lot of hype and their actual whitelist tokens were outperforming these actual Micefia. They were going for like 150 ADA. I think people were like, ooh, new shiny whitelist token, let me buy it, right? But the actual project itself is going under that mint price and is going for around 107 ADA. The whole thing with this project is they're trying to make interactive games built in with story and having these cool animated trailers. But one thing that was interesting is they mentioned casino games. And if you look at Solana and Ethereum, that was actually a very big meta that we haven't had yet on Cardano. So I'm anticipating that these guys realize that and are like, let's make a bunch of gambling casino games because it isn't on this chain yet, but it worked well on other chains. And if they do that, you could see a little bit of a pop off or a run in this project simply because that's what ends up happening. Now, next thing here that I wanted to bring up is, of course, Jellycubes. There is so much going on behind the scenes, guys. We really are in our boring phase right now, but our actual doxing calendar, which is going under a major revamp, should be done sometime in this next week here. Every single time it's about to be done, we just come out with more ideas that actually makes it way better. I'm going to have a whole video detailing all the changes, but it's going to be labeled a KYC thing. There's going to be a whole entire new calendar format that you can search all of these different projects on these different blockchains. There's going to be multiple tiers of KYC, a ton of stuff that's going to be coming out soon with that. And as far as our automated lending, it's pretty much ready to go. We've just been doing some internal testing. One of our main devs is actually moving to Germany right now. So that's why things have taken a little bit longer as he packs up and gets ready to go. But yeah, overall, super excited about that stuff and what we're going to be coming out with in the next, I don't know, 3 to 6 months is going to be pretty insane. I can't talk about it too much, but I'm super pumped what's to come. Now, next thing here is Introverts. The reason I wanted to bring up Introverts is because I really like Marcus. I think the art looks pretty good on these different Introverts. They've done a good job building an overall ecosystem, and they're actually in the process of developing a mobile application that projects, if they purchase enough Introverts, can get access to. So kind of like the mutant system, where in order to use mutants, you had to own a certain amount of mutants. They're pretty much doing the same thing, but they're doing it with their application. It's going to be kind of like CNFT Jungle, where you can see all of your different Introverts as well as any other project, but it's going to be a lot more of a premium experience, and they're going to have built-in monitors. They're going to have, rating features similar to what Mallard Order is doing, and a lot of different things all built within this mobile app. So if a lot of projects end up wanting to use this mobile app, we could see a run up on these actual Introverts. Next thing here is the Blockowls. If you've been watching my videos, you'll know that I've been saying that they're actually releasing their Jabba Zine mint sometime soon. I think that they're actually going to to be releasing this in March, but they already have the details on how to get whitelist with that. And supposedly this collection, because I've been talking to their team, is going to look absolutely insane. So if you're interested, maybe you go and you try to see if you can get some of these whitelists for that mint, because I do think that is going to be a pretty big mint. Next thing here is Death Row Pass. The reason I wanted to bring up Death Row Pass is they did something pretty insane, and they have 0 listed right now. And yes, part of this is for the snapshot of their main ADA inmates PFP mint that's happening in 2 days on the 9th, guys, but it's still insane. I would say pay attention to ADA inmates. They're doing something very similar to Ape Society right now, where they're going to have their posters, which are kind of like the frames. They're going to have their inmates with all these different crimes and groups that are going to be kind of like your apes with different staking features. They're going to have their cells mint, which are going to be kind of like the cabins. And then their main token instead of society is going to be called smokes. And there's going to be different materials all in this ecosystem that they build. So an interesting project to pay attention to. I think the big thing that they're going to run into is actually managing that inflation and figuring out how to make the tokenomics sustainable for smokes. But if they're able to do something like that, it would be pretty interesting because this whole entire model ended up working pretty well for the Ape Society. Next thing here is Foxed. Now, Foxed, I don't own any right now, but the reason I'm bringing them up is because I do think that they have some potential. The team seem pretty experienced at building different things. They're pretty much taking ideas from the community or different things that they see in the ecosystem that can be improved on or hasn't been done yet. And they're using their development talents in order to make those different things. Right now, they're in the process of making a data analytics platform. They also have this whole entire customizable website where you can make, different banners and Twitter stuff with your different Foxed NFTs. And it's pretty interesting. Like I said, I don't own any right now, but I feel like these guys are going to be builders in this space and that this could potentially be an undervalued play. Next thing here is Goofy Gophers Mining Club. I wanted to bring up this project because I actually think it's a pretty cool project. Essentially, guys, they took money from their first mint of 995 Gophers and they bought a bunch of ASIC miners which mine cryptocurrency. Recently, they've been mining a bunch of Litecoin and they've already made about $10,000 worth of Litecoin. Now, a lot of this money, especially in the beginning, is being redistributed into buying more of these miners and just compounding the amount of money that they're making. But each of these miners are actually going to get a kickback or a percentage of that revenue that they get from mining. There's a couple projects that do this on Ethereum that have done pretty well. So it's something to pay attention to. It is like a cool passive income aspect, especially since you continue to own the miners. The one thing that I will say though is that they're releasing more of their NFTs soon here in order to get more of these miners. And I think they're trying to raise a lot of money, like $700,000, $800,000. I don't know if they changed their mind about that, but if they do try to ask for that much money, I don't think they have enough eyes or volume or floor price in order to sustain that. So maybe the best time to get into this project is actually after that mint happens. If they have to pause the mint, whatever the case is, that might be the best opportunity to buy long term. Last 2 projects I wanted to bring up here is actually Tooligans and then Old Money to finish us off. Tooligans is from the CNFT Tools team, and I actually had them on a voice call in the BIG recently. And these guys are basically creating a project that is going to be super crazy and have a bunch of different analytics. And these Tooligans may come into play when it comes to actually getting whitelist to that project. Now, I haven't gone in and bought any of these Tooligans yet, but after having the CNFT Tools team on, I do think that this project, not Tooligans per se, but their next PFP project is going to do very well. And they have the infrastructure to actually be successful long term, as well as the different connections. So maybe something to pay attention to when it comes to their Tooligans. They are going to have some new pass type NFT soon as well. So pay attention to that. I think that is going to end up being super valuable. Last project here that I wanted to bring up is actually the Old Money Point 2 bills. Now, Old Money has this whole entire crazy ecosystem that's hard to understand and hard to figure out, but these guys have been building since day one, and they have a lot of different lore and a lot of different cool stuff going on. Yesterday, they announced their MFR token, which has been in the works for a long time now, and they released a crazy long doc that I personally don't have the time to go through right now. The reason I'm bringing this up though is pay attention because that MFR token is coming out. It seems like they've really done their homework on it. They're building a lot of different dApps and a lot of different things to encapsulate their overall ecosystem. And they also have their pesos bill that are coming out sometime early this year, probably in the first half of this year. I haven't gone in and bought any point 0.2 bills, but it does seem like a decently attractive price overall. What I will say is there is going to be continual dilution with how they have things set up, where they're constantly doing different marketing materials, Winboy, all of these different things, as well as their pesos, but something to pay attention to. That pretty much wraps up this Cardano NFT market update video. And sorry if this was a super long video. I feel like I've been talking forever now, but there was just a lot of information that I needed to cover, especially since it's been a while since the last market update video. I also want to say that if you're someone who's new to the space or just interested in learning about these different plays or market updates or just analysis, trying to keep up with everything, make sure to check out Jellycubes, where pretty much I spend the majority of my life in, and providing all sorts of different information, which will hopefully help you out on your space and journey. And also check out our BIG stake pool and support our stake pool if that's something that you want to do, I guess. But yeah, that pretty much wraps it up, guys. I'm going to make another video soon here, just about trading again and just like some different, things that I've been thinking about that I want to make a video on. And yeah, I'll see you guys on the next one.